Welcome or welcome back, new viewers and gamers. It is time for another video on unused content. And today, we've got ourselves a video on Paper Mario 64, just Paper Mario. So, since the Super Paper Mario Unused video did quite well, decided to let the series continue. We're starting off with Paper Mario, or continuing with Paper Mario. So now, here's our start. Early iterations of the game, Paper Mario was originally going to be named Super Mario RPG 2. I remember bringing that up during the Super Mario playthrough, or the Mario RPG, excuse me, the Paper Mario playthrough, that this was initially going to be called Super Mario RPG 2, and here's the photo for it. Here's how the logo would have looked. Very similar to the one from Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars on the SNES, but with a 2 and without all the added, title parts. Alright, also called Mario RPG 2, or Mario RPG 64. I guess it's your canon what you want to call which one. But due to complications involving Square, because, that was around the time Square became Square Enix, and kind of parted away from Nintendo, the makers of Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, the name was changed to Super Mario Adventure and then later Mario Stories, which is other beta names for Paper Mario, when it was decided that the Western title should be reflected the unique graphical style of the game. The finalized Japanese title was retained with the subtitle of Paper Trail. Before, the title was shortened to simply Paper Mario, and that's how we have Paper Mario today, everybody. Alright, in early interviews with Nintendo Power, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, after being asked about Super Mario RPG 2, said that he wanted the game's graphics to be in the vein of its predecessor, as well as including multiple events and characters that are commonly featured in other games in the Super Mario franchise. The game was originally in development for the failed Nintendo 64 DD, which, never learned about that one. I'm about to look that one up myself. But was ultimately released as a cartridge. Alright, here's more unreleased screenshots of Mario RPG 2, and it had this title. As you can see, the map down here looks a bit closer to the map we see in the final game, actually. You got Mount Lava Lava over here, you got Dry Desert over here, you got Forever Forest over here, it looks like. So it's nice they had mostly that vision intact already. Here's the logo I showed off earlier. And here is an early version of Dry Desert, where the graphics look a bit grainy, if you will. You got a different UI as well, and the Koopas look significantly different. Alright, here's an unused shot of what appears to be Super Mario, World. It has the same graphical style as Mario World. It might be another early version of Lava Lava Island. And the Yoshi takes his design from Super Mario World as well. Yeah, that's just an early concept art. So they most likely, my guess is, they most likely used Super Mario World's graphical style as a bit of a template for this game. And here's another early logo. Kind of looks like one of those little, booklets you get in a game case back in those days. Yeah, remember when we had those? Back in my days, kids, we had little booklets when we got our games. Yeah, I say that like I was born around the time the N64 came out. I was born after that. Anyways. Alright, here are some early builds of the game. Early screenshots of this game showed that Poochie, the dog from the Yoshi games, was going to play some sort of a role in this game. And another screenshot shows that Neb in Nuts, which is such a stupid name, but whatever, were going to be in this game, also indicating that Mount Lava Lava was going to be more Yoshi Island-like. Also, the early versions of Forever Forest showed that it would be much smaller, with all the forest trees having sinister faces. A screenshot had also shown a strange early whale. Now, Mario has a different look in the early version, which I'll get into that later. I don't like the way this looks, and I'm glad they changed it. Having scleras in his eyes, the white bit of your eyes, as he does in artworks of the other Super Mario games, such as Super Mario Bros. 3, instead of simple black dots in the final version. According to an old article from Nintendo's website, the game was being developed by HAL Laboratories, the same people who developed the Kirby games, fun fact, and also suggests that Mario's followers would fight on their own, without any input from the player, which I'm glad they changed that as well. This ain't no Persona 3 where you can't control your party members. Anyways. Alright, here's one of the unreleased screenshots with Poochie, and you see Mario's beta design, which looks a lot more pixelated. This is also an early version of Lava Lava Island. And yeah, I don't like the way Mario's eyes look. They look stupid. I'm glad they changed that. And here's that Ep-In-Nut enemy from the Yoshi games. Stupid name, but pretty funny design. And also, again, Mario's beta design, which I still hate how it looks. Alright, here's the beta design for the Forever Forest, which I'm glad that what they went for in the final game, because you notice how it doesn't seem as dark, so it kind of loses some of that atmospheric pressure that it has in the final version. I'm kind of glad they changed that as well. And Mario's in this little grassy area too, which you can't do in the final game. Alright, here's another screenshot of Forever Forest. Now it's looking a little darker, and the faces look a bit different as well. Alright, here's an early version of Mario's house, and I guess an early sprite with his beta design. Yeah, it looks significantly different to how it looks in the final game, and notice how Luigi isn't in this picture either, so he most likely wasn't put here yet. Alright, here's an early version of Koopa Village. Notice how the UI is a little different. Using hearts kind of like in the Zelda games instead of, 50-50 by health bar. Like the 10 by 10 health bar, I should say. Depending on how much health you have. And the flower bar is also different, too. And the coin and the star UI seems... I guess that's supposed to be the early version of the star points, most likely? I think that's what that is. And then Goombario's over here as well. Here's another early version of Goomba Village. It's a little small. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, I don't think I can zoom in. But anyways, and notice how the UI over here is also a little different as well. And let's see, Goombario is over here, and the Goomba house also looks significantly different. And notice that there's a Koopa here too. That could just be a placeholder for Cooper. Alright, those are the early Koopa Bros. Huh, one of them's got a blue shell instead of a green shell. So I guess he was initially going to be the leader. Excuse all my stuttering. I got red, and I think that's going to be Black Koopa. It's kind of hard to see. And Bowser's beta design as well, which makes him look a bit scarier than he does in the final version. I prefer the final design since it kind of fits the art style more, but I would have been okay with this design too, honestly. Alright, here's an early version of Toad Town. The Toads look mostly how they do in the final version. However, notice how it says Mushroom Kingdom over here. That's not in the final version. Otherwise, this looks pretty close to how the final version looks. Alright, here's an early version of the Goomba King fight, and again, you see the UI with the hearts and the flowers instead of it being in numbers. I really wonder how that would have worked. I'm glad they went with what they did in the final version, because I don't think, say this works similar to how the heart system works in the Zelda games, I don't think that would work well in an RPG setting. So, yeah, that would be kind of, maybe it could work, it would just be really hard to understand. But anyways, alright, the Goomba King looks a little different, while the Goomba Bros look pretty much the same as they do in the final game. Also, notice how the action command for the hammer is also the same, or very similar as it is in the final version, when in later screenshots, it's different. And we'll get to that in a second. Now here's another early battle, with an unused formation of a Goomba and a Spike Goomba, again with the same heart and flower UI. Alright, here's an early version of Yoshi's Island, later becoming Mount Lava Lava Island. And that Toad looks really stupid as well, also Mario again in his beta design. Instead of in his final design like we've seen in some of the earlier pictures. That's the same picture, excuse me. Alright, here's an early version of the Blue Goomba you fight during the Goomba Bros fight. Also, notice how the UI is closer to how it is in the final version with the star points and the coins, as well as the fire points, but the heart system is still a little different here. I wonder how that would have worked. And also, Mario's overalls are a different color. Alright, this one's really hard to see, but there's a different icon for the... well, not the items. I think that's supposed to be a guard option, since it looks like a shield of some sorts. Alright, the flowers, what we saw in that Goomba Bros picture, look the same, and again, the heart systems here just looks really blurry. Alright, here's another one. Some of the icons look a little different to the final version as well. And this time it's not in no, it's still in Japanese. Alright, here's an early King Goomba fight. And there's this little bar over here. I wonder what that would have been used for. Maybe that was the original HP bar for the bosses after you tattled them? That could be what that's for. Alright, here's another early battle, this time with the Red Goomba, again with that bar, so it was most likely used for, boss HP. Which, kind of glad they went with what they went with in the final version, just easier to follow. And there's this little spring here that the Red Goomba's on. Maybe that would have been integrated into the battle somehow. Alright, here's an early pause menu. It's all in Japanese, so I don't understand what it says. Anyone in there who can speak Japanese, please tell me what that says. But thanks to them being next to the icons, I could probably guess. It definitely looks a lot, excuse my language, but crappier to how it looks in the final version. But then again, it's a rough draft. They're just trying to iron it out. It's gonna look bad. Alright, now here's the early version of the hammer action command that I was talking about earlier. It's a little different, which makes me wonder how this would have functioned. Maybe you hold your cursor back, and then once it gets into the right area, that's when you can get the maximum amount. I still prefer how they went within the final version. That's just easier to follow. Alright, and here's some early sketches of both Locke Lester and Cooper. They look pretty much the same as they do in the final version. Alright, on to unused data. Alright, fully functioning Dark Paratroopers as well as Albino Dinos. I remember bringing those guys up during the Crystal Palace part of my playthrough. And the whack enemies exist in the ROM. How funny. Long before it was cool in, all those ROM hacks, like Dark Pit. Or the Black Pit, not Dark Pit. Or in the Thousand Year Door remake. It's good to know they had, the Wacka being an enemy this early into Paper Mario's lifespan. Anyways, also Goombario, Goomba, and Twink all have names and icons that are present in the game's list, and you can see that right over here. However, Cooper's little icon seems to take their place, since it's unused content. I mentioned this throughout the playthrough too, that those three were originally going to be playable partners, but they were scrapped, and honestly for good reason. We already have 8 partners in this game. 11 would be way too much, and 3 of them would have been Goombas, so no. And Twink's better off with those P-Shooter missions, so I'm glad he got some sort of a role. Alright, in the Crystal Palace, an unused graphic identical to a spiny Tromp face, labeled Ice Dozum, whatever the hell that means, appears in the texture data, indicating icy versions of Thwomps were intended to appear there. Note that the graphic in Mount Lava Lava is labeled as Goron. You know, those enemies from, not enemies, but those creatures from Zelda. Spiny Tromps, Japanese name. Oh, they're Japanese names. Huh, you learn something new every day. And includes the spikeless body, which, funnily enough, on this page there is no graphic for that. I guess you just gotta picture it. Alright, unused items. These items were found in the code of Paper Mario. Only 3 items, as you can see here. Most of their names and descriptions were never translated officially. Alright, one of those items being the insecticide grass. Attacks one enemy, does 0 damage to most enemies, but defeats bugs instantly, with no star points gained, which, that's stupid. You might as well give them star points, but whatever. Likely removed due to Bazaps, those bee enemies you find in Chapter 6, and that one part in Chapter 3. Being the only standard insect enemies. Makes sense, because they're the only enemies this item will work on in the entire game, so what's the point? I was thinking that maybe that could work on Piters and Thousand Year Door, but those are also the only bug enemies in those games, and Bazaps don't even show up in Thousand Year Door. So, makes sense why they removed it. The item description says, drives away bug-like adversaries. The Hustle Drink appears to be something Mario drinks during battle, which causes him to steam. Once it is used, Mario can take 2 actions next turn, now usable in the field. This item, I kind of wish was in the final game. This would actually be pretty cool. It's kind of like Goombella's, Rally Wink, in Thousand Year Door. It's something like that, but it takes up your previous turn, which I think is a decent balance for that. So you take up 1 turn, so next turn you can have double actions. I think that's a decent trade-off, so in my opinion, they should have kept that. And we also saw how useful Rally Wink was in Thousand Year Door, so that would be useful here too. Heck, I wonder how that would have been used in speedruns and challenge runs. Anyways, our next turn in battle, Mario can take 2 actions, as a description. And now this final item, please come back, which is some weird tag with a B on it, which, according to the description, is the sign for the sun or something? Whatever. When used in battle, it becomes a broken Dizzy Dial and wastes Mario's turn, now usable in the field. The sign on the tag looks like the Japanese character for sun. Has the same name as Peach's special move Come Back in the Japanese version of Mario RPG. It was probably meant to bring back partners that have gone missing when used in battle, or the overworld. Gone missing. That might be an unused little mechanic in the game where your partner can, I guess, get lost or something, or maybe get affected by a certain status condition. And this item would have remedied that. Kind of glad that didn't become a thing in the final version, because that sounds like it'd be annoying as hell. Alright, if you wish for a partner that has been scattered somewhere, it will return. Call back removed party characters. Alright, here's some unused screenshots of Mario using the Hustle Drink in Dry Dry Desert. And I guess this would have been the effect that would have happened. And notice how the graphics look very close to the final version of the game. Looking a lot less grainy now. Alright, and here's Mario throwing the insecticide grass. Mario, that's completely useless against Pokies and bandits. And that makes me think maybe Pokies would have been initially known as bug enemies. You think this thing looks like a bug? I don't. Anyways, here's some more unused items. We have just Chizu, or a map, this little icon of a little present. And same thing here, a big map. I guess present was used as a placeholder item? Most likely that was the case. The golden jar. And here's what it looks like. Alright, in-game description. A sparkling gold pot. Moustafa, was looking for this. No known use, though possibly replaced by the lemon. Looks like the volcano vase. So yeah, if you know, during Chapter 2, you do have to get a lemon in order to talk to Moustafa, so maybe that was thought of later on in development over the gold jar, which, personally, I think the gold jar would have been more unique, but I guess that just gives the lemons more use, though they already have use in cooking, to make lemon candy. But, yeah. The Forest Pass, most likely used for Oakley in the beginning of Chapter 3, so you could go to the Forever Mansion, or the Boo Mansion. This is the Forever Forest Pass that you received from the Toad who guards the forest. Either that, I guess you could use it as a way to pass the Forever Forest during Chapter 3, and you have to give it to that Toad guard, who, again, is afraid of ghosts for some reason, but whatever. The Suspicious Memo. Looks like a mystery note prototype. It is corroborated by the fact that it can be present in Rusty, or presented to Rusty at any time after rescuing Scholar. It doesn't seem to change the conversation, however. In description, a note with mysterious characters printed on it. This is what it looks like. Most likely it was going to be gotten somewhere after Chapter 3, according to that description. The screwdriver. Here's what it looks like. Kind of looks like one of those safety pins. Or not safety pins, one of those tacks. It's a tool for turning screws. Hurry to Goomba. Probably a tool for an intended side quest in the prologue, or just a side quest after the prologue, since it says give it to Goomba. That should have stayed in the game. It would have been nice. It would have been a simple one, but a simple side quest nonetheless. Toad doll, most likely given to Goombaria instead of that Mario doll. Here's what it looks like. Just a toad without a face. That's not creepy at all. In-game description, which is the same as the item's name. That's it. It's just a Japanese character I can't read. A letter to Tenba. An unused character, most likely, using the letter icon. Our letter Yukiguni. Yukiguni is Japanese for Snow Country or Snow Kingdom, so this is most likely referring to someone in Shiver City. Our letter to Radio. Another letter thing, there's no data here. Or there is no data. Letter to Lyricist. Lyricist being Pop Diva in the Club 64. So this would have likely been a letter to her. One of those toads in Toad Town. Letter to Traveler number 2. Alright, no data. Letter to Abu 3. No data. Letter to Tenba again. No data. Or another letter to Tenba, this unused character. Koopakoot, the old guy in Koopa Village. That's a shell, most likely was going to be given to him during the beginning of Chapter 1 when you recruit Kooper to the team and when those fuzzies are attacking the town and stealing everybody's shells. I don't think I want to see an old Koopa without a shell, so thank you guys for making this unused. Alright, the object requested by Koopakoot. And photograph. Looks like a picture of Koopakoot. Take a look at it. It's kind of hard to see since it's so small, but it looks like a picture of Koopakoot without his eyes. Glad that went unused. This would appear to be a dummy of one of Koopakoot's quest items. I guess it's just a beta version of that, had that become a thing in the final game. And here's that shell for Koopakoot. And finally, just some prison keys. Maybe this would have been used in Shy Guy's toy box? I don't know, it's pink, so I'm not entirely sure what it would have been used for, actually. But they seem to know. This icon would have been used for keys in Peach's Castle. There is an item called Prison Key, but it looks different. Definitely does look different. Maybe it was supposed to be used during the Peach interludes, most likely. Anyways, unused. Now we go on to unused badges. The released version of the game contains some scrapped badges, which I do remember bringing up throughout the playthrough. They can be accessed with a Game Shark or a similar device, so if you want to toy around with that and you happen to have a Game Shark lying around, go do it. These badges can be found in the game's data and are never seen during the game. Alright, here's Hammer Charge 0 and Jump Charge 0. This is what they look like. My guess why these got scrapped is because, as the description says here, uses 1 FP, increases Mario's hammer or jump attack by 1. Name appears and effects suggest this would have been obtained before Charge Smash. So either, because both Charge Smash and Charge Jump, you can get as early as Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And since this one only raises your attack by 1 while those badges raise them by 2, they most likely scrapped them early on because that's just redundant. It's just a weaker version of it. You might as well just go with the one that charged your attack by 2. So my guess is, had these not been scrapped, these would have been found earlier in the game, like Chapter 1, Chapter 2, while Smash Charge and Charge Jump would have been found maybe somewhere during Chapter 3 and 4, somewhere later in the game so you could upgrade it. Something like that. Anyways, here's probably my favorite badge that I wish really didn't get scrapped, because it would have been very useful to even have a whole graphic of Mario being angry, and here's what the badge looks like. It's got a really angry face on him. You don't want to mess with this guy. You won't like him when he's angry. Oh no. And it's called Anger's Power. Causes Mario to assume a dark red tinge, an angry pose during battle. Increases Mario's attack by 2, but also causes him to attack at random on his turn, so it's kind of like a berserk effect, instead of being controlled by the player. Mario may or may not succeed with action commands, and may choose actions that are unwise, such as jumping on a spiked enemy. Mario's partner is unaffected and is controlled normally, so I guess there's some balance to it. Mario attacks before the player can choose to make the partner go first. Effects are much like the berserk status, as I just said, from other RPGs. I honestly, and it takes 8 BP to use. I honestly wish this was used, actually. This would have been really good for challenge runs, too. Like, can you beat Paper Mario using only Anger's Power? I really wish this became a thing. This would have been really cool, and this probably could have been even used for speedruns, even. Since you could blitz through certain enemies much faster using it. But anyways, on to some more. Perfect command. Right on is this description. And here's what it looks like. A pink flower, I guess. And I guess this is some other thing. I'm not entirely sure. Alright, uses 8 BP, while those charged items over here used 1, forgot to say that. Actions activates all action commands perfectly and automatically. Causes a Japanese sign, Bachuri, which means perfect or right on the mark, to appear over the description of the action command. I guess that's what this little graphic over here is. Note that it works for Mario but not his partner. So I guess that got scrapped because the devs actually want you to execute the action commands. You could kind of just cheese action commands using this, so kind of glad they scrapped it. Alright, here's the one-shot step and the one-shot strike. This is what they look like. Both using 1 BP. Alright, use 2 FP to execute a standard jump or hammer attack perfectly. So, I guess if you don't feel like using the action command, and let's say you're in a scenario where the enemy only has about 1 HP or 2 HP, but you need to get the action command right to get that, you could use this badge and those FP points to get it so you don't have to worry about messing up the action command. But personally, I think I'm glad they took those out. Even though these badges look pretty nice, I like the golden sheen on them. I'm kind of glad they scrapped it. You want to get that action command right, you get it right. You can't just rely on something to cheese that. Alright, here's another unused badge. Happy Heart. This is what it would have looked like. You saw me use Happy Heart throughout the playthrough, which was very useful for me. Some people say that badge is bad. I don't think so. But anyways, this one's a better version of it, which takes 10 BP, which there's not a single badge in the game. That takes up to 8 or 10 BP in the final game. The one that takes the highest, I believe, is 7. So, kind of glad they scrapped those. It would have taken up over a third of your BP, assuming you're at max BP. Alright, like Happy Heart, recovers 3 HP every turn instead of just 1. Which I think it also stacks with normal Happy Hearts as well, which would have been pretty cool. Imagine that with 2 more Happy Hearts, you'd be getting 5 HP back each and every turn, which would have been super good. Definitely, especially for the late game too, when enemies start hitting much harder. Alright, Super Get. Actually, wait, before we go to Super Get, let's go back to Happy Heart for a second. I have a feeling the reason why this was scrapped is because Happy Heart, well, 1, it just takes up a fuck ton of BP, and 2, I guess it would have just been better to use like 3 Happy Hearts, which you can get in game, I'm pretty sure. And will have the same effect, but uses up less BP. So I guess it would have been kind of redundant. Might be why they took it out. But anyways, Super Get. Here's what it looks like. Very similar to that one badge that looks very similar to this in Thousand Year Door. Also takes up 10 BP. Alright, decreases attack power by 2, but makes Mario recover 2 HP per hit. Oddly enough, doesn't stop giving HP like the normal HP drain. So it would have just been a better version of it that kept going. Mario will be weaker, but it's also harder to kill Mario, since he'll get more HP back. Alright, auto multi-bounce. Here's what it would look like. Use up 2 BP. It's just a silvery version, I guess, of the normal multi-bounce. And uses 5 FP. Has the same effect as multi-bounce, but no action command is required. So, again, just if you don't feel like messing up the action command, just use this for 5 FP. I'd rather just use the action command, just get good. So, probably another reason why they scrapped that. Total savings. Here's what the badge would have looked like. Very similar to the Flower Saver badge. And it would have taken up 10 BP again. Reduces the FP consumption of every move by 2. It won't make moves free, which I think is good. I figured this out during my Thousand Year Door playthrough with a Flower Saver, that it doesn't make any attack free. It only lowers them to 1 FP if that's it, and from there it doesn't lower any further. I guess that's good because then you'd be spamming super powerful moves like Power Jump and Mega Jumps, basically for free. And that would get very broken very fast, so I'm kind of glad they put that in there. Note that it does stack on top of the 2 Flower Saver badges, so at most you could save up to 4 FP if this were in the game. But I guess the reason why they took this out is because Flower Saver's already really good, and this would have been a little too good, I think. Alright, the Bag-On Jump, not talking about the Pokemon, Bag-On Jump, normally I pronounce it as Bag-On, so that's why I'm saying Bag-On. This is the jump item, as well as the hammer version of it that I was talking about throughout the playthrough. Because Power Jump, which notice how the jump item has 3 spikes on it, while Power Jump had 2, and Mega Jump had 4 spikes. This was likely going to be in the middle of those 2 badges, but it got scrapped. Uses 4 FP, and they both take up 2 BP. And would do 4, 5, or 6 damage to one enemy. Depending on which set of boots Mario has, the action command, which is the normal jump attack action command, increases damage by 1. Appearance suggests the badge would belong between Power Jump and Mega Jump, having 3 spikes on the bottom, whereas the other 2 had 2 and 4 respectively. Alright, same uses 4 FP to do 4 or 5 or 6 damage to one enemy, depending on which hammer Mario has. The action command, which is the normal hammer command, increases damage by 1. Alright, and here's the Power Smash slash Mega Smash, and Power Smash slash Mega Smash again, or Bang Hammer and Bang Hammer again. However, it doesn't have its own icon, it's just the present icon again, and would have taken up 3 BP. Alright, calls Power Smash to the field, Mega Smash in battle. Really? Huh. So maybe outside of battle when you first strike an enemy, the Power Smash damage would have been used, while the Mega Smash effect would have been in battle, which probably would have been broken as hell since it doesn't take up as much BP as those aforementioned badges do. I use a 6 FP to do Mega Smash, which I think is the same amount Mega Smash has with its own badge. Sorry about that, that just showed up on my screen. I've been getting a lot of those lately. Its in-game description changes to match its name. Alright, cool. And identical to the badge we just talked about, right over here. So, I don't even know why that's there, but whatever. Super Deep Focus. Here's what the badge would have looked like. Kinda looks like something out of the Kirby games. Anyways, 5 BP. It appears to be a different design from Deep Focus. It was supposed to be a better version of normal Deep Focus, though its leftover functions exactly like Deep Focus. Appears on one of the stone columns in front of Bowser's castle, but when Mario collects it, his design changes to that of the regular Deep Focus badge. So, it would have obviously been found very late in the game, and I guess the reason why it got scrapped, because clearly its effect was never finished as it has the same effect as normal Deep Focus. But I guess the reason why they kind of scrapped it is because maybe it would have been too broken. After using the Star Spirits, and you were to use this badge with it, it would most likely recover a whole star thing in full. So that's my guess why it might have gotten scrapped. I'm not entirely sure if that's real, though. Shrink Smash, which in my opinion another badge, just like the Berserk one, I think should have been used in the game. Or Mini Strike it's called. Shrink Smash, and here's what the badge would have looked like. Just like the jump version of it. Only uses 1 BP, uses 2 FP to create a hammer-based Shrink Stomp. Its description notably says it only uses 1 FP. Which I'm pretty sure Shrink Stomp only used 1 FP as well. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I think this should have been used specifically for, like, spike enemies and whatnot. Wouldn't have been very good for flying enemies, though, so I think this would have only been good against spiked enemies. That's pretty much it. Maybe that's why it was scrapped, because it wouldn't have been very good against most enemies. I'd say there's enough spiked enemies in the game where it would have been alright. Shell Crack! No badge for that. 3 BP. Uses 6 FP to execute a normal hammer attack, no other effects. So, obviously why that got scrapped. It looks like it got scrapped pretty early on as well. Has no other effects or even its own icon. Initiation. A flower icon. Here's what the badge would have looked like. Takes 0 BP. Effect unknown, possibly not even a badge, so nothing for that. Here's another one that makes sense why it got scrapped, but it would have been a pretty neat idea. Earthquake Jump. Here's what the badge would have looked like, just like the Quick Hammer badges. Only would have used 2 BP, used 4 FP, not used any longer. Appears at the bottom of the screen in place of an action command. Mario jumps up and down repeatedly in the center of the enemy side of the field. All grounded enemies are hit for 1 damage for each time Mario lands. The player must press A every time Mario hits the ground to keep him jumping and racking up damage. Most likely the action command for that. That's the reason why I think this would have been a pretty neat idea. I think the reason why it got scrapped is it would just be way too similar to Quake Hammer. Just be the jump version of it, and there's no point of that either since it can't even hit airborne enemies. So it just would have been super redundant, but at the same time, the fact that every time you hit the ground and grounded enemies would have gotten hit would have been a cool idea. I think there's a way you can fashion it for it to not be redundant with the Quake Hammer badges. But a neat idea that got scrapped, sadly. Alright, attack effects F. Doesn't really do anything. Changes the sound effect of Mario's hammer and jump attack. The sound effect is a laughter from the flowers in Forever Forest. Actually, that could have been used. I don't know why that got scrapped. And just like the other music badges, doesn't take up a single point of BP. Here's what it would have looked like. Same other music notes, just with a different background color. Healthy, which is literally just a clone of Feeling Fine, with a different face, quite cute in my opinion, would have only taken up 1 BP. And prevents poison and dizzy, literally just Feeling Fine. See why that got scrapped, it's literally the same goddamn thing. Here's other attack effects badges, identical to the one we talked about. We're almost done, just a few more to go. Now we've got some of these badges being unused. Here's that jumping Quake badge, which actually looks pretty cool, in my opinion. But again, just completely redundant with the Quake badge. And here's the charge badge for the jump being used. Here's the hammer charge one being used, or called 0. The right-on badge for those perfect action commands. Alright, Mario covering Happy Happy Hearts, 3 HP. And notice how the UI is now pretty much how it is in the final game. So that shows to me and to you guys that this clearly got scrapped pretty much at the end of the game's development. Or very close to the end of the game's development. While in these screenshots, you got the little play border over here, which I don't think is in the final game. I could be wrong, though. Either that, I just never noticed. Alright, Mario using Super HP Drain. Here's what it would have looked like. Also, damn, they grinded up 999 coins. How long did that take them? Anyways, here's the Shrink Smash badge, which in my opinion should have been used. Alright, if it works, the enemy shrinks. Its attack power decreases. Alright, here's the anger power being used, which again would have been really, really cool. And clearly this is at the beginning of the game where they don't have any Star Spirit powers. So that suggests this would have been found really early in the game. Alright, and here's the Shrink Smash badge attacking an enemy, making that spear guy a bit smaller, and doing quite a bit of damage too. Alright. Oh, because he has a super hammer, that's why. In addition to the above, the following images are found within the game's ROM. Though, they have no assigned item. They are likely to be unused item sprites. And some of them are straight up silhouettes. The key items are on top, badges are in the center, and normal items are on the bottom. Alright, here's all of them in one. Here's what they all look like. I'll give you guys a second to look at it. Alright, here's some extra badges. In addition to unused badges, some badges have unused duplicates in the game's data, presumably implying the player was supposed to be able to own multiple copies of specific badges. All of these function as intended. Multiple copies of Happy Heart, which I think I do remember using that during the playthrough. I know I used one. Did I use two? I don't remember. Alright, Flower Saver. Alright, this third duplicate exists in the game. Oh, so you were supposed to get three, yeah. For both Flower Saver and Happy Heart, which would have been really good in my opinion. They should have done that. Alright, exists in the game's data. In the final game, only 2 can be obtained. That says the same for these next 4. For Power Plus, 3 Power Pluses. You know me, I like my power, dude. I would have loved that. Damage Dodge, which you can only get 2 in the game. Same with Defense Plus. Alright, the 2 duplicates exist in the game's data. Notably, 1 is available in the final game. In all other cases of badges duplicates, the duplicates are fewer in numbers than the ones normally available. Alright, Happy Flower. There was supposed to be a third one of that in the game. And has the same description as this one. HP Plus. These 2 duplicates exist in the game's data. In the final game, only 3 can be obtained. So that likely means we could have had up to 5, which I think the reason why that would have been scrapped, who the hell wants to make a build of 5 HP Pluses? Normally I like using HP Plus, but that would just, I think that would take up too much BP is probably why they did that. A total of 15 BP. I was about to say 30, but it ain't that high. Alright, FP Plus, same thing as the HP Plus. Now we get on to some unused enemies, as well as some debug rooms. And here they are. The ROM contains several unused palettes for enemies. Most of these are just recolors. Unlike Bowser Door and Super Paper Mario's unused enemies. Including Aqua Blue Fuzzies, Bright Embers, Frosty Goombas, and Koopas, and even Crystal King palettes. Alright, here's an aqua-colored fuzzy, most likely used during Chapter 7, but got scrapped. I have a feeling they would have done ice damage to Mario. That's probably what they would have done. Alright, here's a blue color palette, or the normal color palette for the bandit enemy. In the final game, only green and red bandits are found in the game, and are only found during Chapter 2. Unlike in Bowser Door, where you also get the purple bandits. And it does say here that it's used in the game's sequel. We'll get to that in a future vid. Alright, here's a brighter version of the Ember. The blue embers that we see near the end of near the beginning of Chapter 8. And the red ones we see in Mount Lava Lava. Just brighter palettes. I guess unused designs for them before their final colorations were used. Here's Flying Gray Koopas, or Magic Koopas, which are not in the final game. Alright, now this one right over here of the Crystal King. Y'all know that one episode of SpongeBob? I don't even like SpongeBob, but that's kind of what this reminds me of, with that guy going, the power within, the power within. That's what this reminds me of. Like, somebody make a meme out of that with this little unused picture here. Anyways, here's a Frosty Goomba, which would have been obviously encountered during Chapter 7. And maybe you wouldn't be able to jump on it. You could probably only hammer it, because if you try to jump on it, unless you have the specific badge for it, you probably would have taken ice damage. Maybe not, but that would have been pretty cool. Would have changed your approach to taking on this type of enemy. Same with the Frosty Koopa and the Frosty Pokey. My opinion, I think these also went unused because they're just basic-ass enemies with palette changes. And I guess they just wanted to do something a little more interesting for Chapter 7. So that's why we got Frost Piranhas. That totally helps the argument I just made. But whatever. Frost Piranhas being... At least, you know, we only saw 2 other Piranha enemies throughout the game prior to Chapter 7. So maybe that's why they used those instead of these guys. We already have other variations of these same enemies. That might be why. Just, in other words, just more variety. Red Goombas, which maybe those would have been used during Lava Lava Island. Maybe. Probably, that's my guess. And they maybe would have done fire damage, or again, they would have just been stronger Goombas and Koopas and Paragoombas, and just the red Paragoomba. And now, the debug room. These are just a bunch of test rooms and leftover rooms, that's all it is. If you were to hack the game, you could probably find most of these. Our debug rooms are areas in a game that and facilitate testing. Some leftover debug rooms were found in Paper Mario's ROM. As with most debug rooms, they're accessible using an exit modifier at the GameShark code. Alright, here's the room number 1. Here's room number 2. Kind of has a checkerboard coloring and just a black background. Alright, here's the third test room with a really big chest and a small chest. Just a bunch of test rooms. Alright, here's the fourth one. I guess this was used to test all the blocks. A fifth room. Clearly a beta version of the room with the Goomba house in it. Here's the sixth room. A seventh one. And an eighth one. Hey, with a hidden star piece. Alright, ninth room, which looks like an early version of the Crystal Palace. Or that's room 7, I guess. I can't count. Oh, that's why, because all three of these rooms are known as room 6. Oh, that's why. Yeah, they're all the same room. Alright, here's room 8 with a line of Koopas. Probably an early version of Koopa Village, I want to say. Most likely. And here's that same room, but instead we have the partners, and for some reason there's 3 Lackluster's? Huh, just my luck. 3 times the... Wait, my name's Spike! Make up your mind, Lackluster. God damn it. Anyways, room number 9. Another little test room for war pipes, it looks like. Room number 10. It's called Jump Attack. If you win the game, you'll collect lots of coins. And there's also unused data in the game. Unused rooms. That Bowser's Castle was originally going to have some more mini games in it as well, and I think this is a precursor to that. Some other mini games involved with Castle, so I guess going through it would have been a bit more fun. Alright, here's room number 10 again, and a final picture of these debug rooms right here, with some different polygons in the background. Alright, we're almost finished. In this debug room, the Mario text Mario RPG is written on the floor, and the blocks give mushrooms. If Mario attempts to talk to the Star Rod, the game freezes. Oh well. There's a hammer in the chest, which also freezes the game. Another small chest, several mushrooms, and path numbered from 0 to 7. The numbers shown are in the same fonts used in Mario 64, and leads to the chapter with the numbers the player chooses. If Mario jumps on Goomba, it acts as if he were an enemy, but there is no battle. Mario's partner will fly through this room. When Mario talks to Colorado in the second path, his HP changes to 11. When he talks to Koopa in the first path, his HP changes to 8 for whatever reason. Some blocks appear in this room. It's just some boring descriptions of things I've already said. Appear here, but they are empty. There are also several blocks, including an unused POW block, which isn't used, outside of, the item version. I think that was most likely just used to test the POW block item. I think that's what that is. If Mario hits it, will just shake the screen and nothing will happen. There's areas with a Mario clone and useless switch, and Goomba, who says nothing, and just a bunch of other things. Most of these are just what I already said. Yeah. Alright, unused enemy formations. There are some unused enemy formations not used in-game, and here they are right over here. Enemies 1, just Spike Goomba by itself in Goomba Village. A Paragoomba and 2 Paragoombas for some reason are unused. A lot of these are just at the beginning of the game, though. There's no other options for that. I guess there's probably more. If I were to click this, yeah, this brings us some more unused enemy formations. There's a really long list of it, so I'm just going to skim through this. Oh, there would have been an angry... Oh, wait, that's just the theme of the battle. I don't know why this says... Oh, this is just the enemy formations throughout the game. Alright, no reason for us to be here, then. Here's just the rest of the enemy formations. 3 Goombas. Wow, so hard to deal with. I'm not entirely sure why they would have taken this out. I guess there was already a lot of enemy formations, so I guess that's why they didn't bother with it. Most likely. Alright, Goomba and a Paragoomba. 4 Goombas. A Goomba and a Spiked Goomba. 2 Goombas and 2 Paragoombas. And a Paragoomba by itself, that's it. And now, here's the end of it. Unused character sprites. Alright, Princess Peach, as she's seen here, has an unused sprite of her kissing someone, most likely Mario, at the end of the game after beating Bowser. Wonder why that went unused. And besides, this sprite is fucking adorable. Alright, for her kissing someone, the Dark Palette suggests it would have happened sometime during the epilogue, where her castle returns to the ground. The village leader's friend during the chapter 5, when all the Yoshis get lost and whatnot, who usually sits next to him, has unused sprites standing up. Junior Troopa has an entire unused set of sprites depicting him with a spike on his head but no wings, presumably intended for a cut battle or face. Honestly, with all the times that Junior Troopa has fought throughout the game, in the prologue, in Chapter 1, at the end of Chapter 1, I should say, in Chapter 3, at the end of Chapter 3, at the end of Chapter 5, or in the beginning of Chapter 5, depending on how you do things, Chapter 7 and Chapter 8, it's only Chapter 2, 4, and 6 you don't battle him, so it's good that that kind of went unused, actually. It could have been reused during the fight in Chapter 8, I guess. That would have been where they used it. That might be another place they could have potentially used it. But it's nice to think about there might be another unused fight. But in my opinion, you fight him like 6 times throughout the entire game. There's no room for any other fights without it feeling, redundant. You might as well make him fightable in every chapter at that point. Alright, here's the unused Peach sprite. It's adorable as hell. This, in my opinion, this design for Peach and her design in the Mario RPG remake is the cutest Peach has ever looked. And here's the village leader's friend standing up. Trying to look imposing, I guess. Well, and here's just a bunch of references. And well, I guess that's it for this one. Next up, we'll do some unused videos for 1000 Year Door. The original 1000 Year Door. If y'all enjoyed this and you want to see more, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Have a berrific day.